Hello, everyone. Today I am joined by founder and CEO of H&H Headwear and Hair Care, Ms. LaPorsche Jymi, and we are going to speak about what it means to be an entrepreneur in this day and age. How are you, LaPorsche?
I'm great. I'm fired up. I am ready to go.
So tell me about your motivation as to why you started this company.
Okay, so although H&H was officially launched on June 12th of 2018, which also happened to be my 30th birthday, the
Oh,
motivation behind the signature satin line baseball cap came from an ultimatum that I was actually facing back in 2017, which was I could either cut ties with my beloved baseball caps or lose all my hair to excessive shedding, which my beautician and I had determined was being caused by my frequent head wear. This was super unfortunate because at the time then and now I wore a lot of hats, so I really couldn't cut ties with the baseball caps. At that time, I was a single mother working full time for the United States Postal Service and running a credit repair business. So a baseball cap was actually my go-to hairstyle. The funny part is the idea for the satin line baseball caps, it didn't even hit me at first. Even after the conversation with my beautician and the research I had done on hair dryness and the benefits of satin, I just did not put it all together. The product only happened to be created one day out of sheer frustration. I had scoured the internet looking for a satin line baseball cap because in my mind, it had to already exist. I couldn't find one though. So one day I decided to cut up one of my satin bonnets and I just glued it to the inside of one of my baseball caps. I wore it, I loved it, and I ended up lining all of my baseball caps the same way. And when I finally made it back to my beautician, she could already see the progress with the health of my hair. And when she asked what I was doing differently, I showed her the baseball cap. She actually ordered two of them and she showed it to more women in the salon. And I walked out of the salon with orders for product.
amazing.
Yes.
So before anything has happened, you already have orders. You know that's a successful business when that happens.
Yes, that's what I had in mind. I was really stunned that so many people liked the idea. But yeah, it started out really quickly and I was excited about that.
That's amazing. Now, in our previous conversation before this, you had told me that you were advised that if you make these hats abroad, maybe in China, that it would significantly lower your costs and that would equal obviously higher profits. But you had decided not to do this. Share with me and to the audience, whoever's going to listen to this, as to why you decided not to do that, and speak a little bit about what's involved now in terms of making the hats. Tell us that story.
Absolutely. And it did make a lot of sense. They were very right. If I did go to China and have the hats made, it would have been a lot cheaper because of they were able to get the materials at a lower price. They were able to get the production done at a lower price. And the only reason at the beginning I didn't go with that idea is because it would cost so much for me to actually go to China because I had developed a specific way to have the hats made and I would have to show them. And so I didn't at the beginning have the money to go to China. Fortunately, during that period that I was actually saving for that trip, I ended up reading a quote that really resonated deeply within me, and it gave me a new perspective on H&H as a social enterprise. And that quote was, "Be who you needed when you were younger." This quote really,
Wow.
yes,
That's
I read it, and I was just like, wow. And it really makes you think, what and who did I need when I was younger? And the quote, it really started to make sense when I taught a group of girls in my neighborhood how to sew. And then I ended up hiring a few of those girls to help me handcraft the satin line baseball caps. And that's really where we got the social and entrepreneurship, the social enterprise part of it. The experience was the cornerstone of creating teen seamstresses, which I also learned was a dying profession. So instead of having the hats manufactured in China, which would of course have been cheaper, that move would not have put me in a position to help empower young girls that were more than likely trying to combat poverty in communities similar to the one that I had grown up in myself. In the process of working with those young girls, I realized a few things that were missing from my own upbringing that I really could have benefited from, such as more exposure to trade skills, mentorships, internships, and even entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Which is why I decided to incorporate these things into H&H and started to introduce young girls to sewing in a safe, nurturing environment.
You know, like LaPortia, the first time we had connected and I started reading about your story and what you do and your social enterprise, and I had said this before, like your story literally ticks off every single box that I have of the important of the things that matter, right? Because obviously other than it being a business, you were like hands on making a significant difference in your community directly because of what you're doing, and that it gives me chills when I think about it. That's how amazing it is. And it's because of people like yourself that our communities are able to grow. And like you were saying, it's how the young ladies in our communities are able to thrive, right?
Yes.
So tell me about, you were telling me once about how one of the younger ladies who had come in this group, she had initially thought she wanted to be one thing, but then through the mentorship that you do provide, she had realized it was something else. Walk me through that again.
Yes. So I work with about 5 young ladies, and I taught them how to sew. They help me make the heads. I also mentor them. We have a really close relationship because I really wanted to be there for them because I didn't have someone like that there for me when I was in that age
Yeah.
group. And one of the girls, she wanted to be a beautician when she grew up, and she wanted to get into making products now. And so we just talked about it, and we talked about how she could make products and what all went into things like that. And we found out that she had a real passion for chemistry. She liked different products and learning what they did and how they worked with other chemicals. And so we just talked about chemistry. We got away from beautician and beauty and doing hair and all that. We just talked about chemistry and found out that she would really like to go to school to study chemistry. So we are now looking to connect her with a mentor that's specifically in that field. So a chemist that would like to mentor her and help her understand what route she needs to take and what classes she needs to take. And that's why I do this. I really want to help these girls really dig into themselves and figure out what their passions are, what makes them, really happy and brings them peace. And that was it for her. Chemistry is what she loves it. And it's not just, she found out it's not just hair care products. She can learn how to make medications. She can learn how to make all sorts of things. And that really just helped me stay focused and figure out this is exactly what I want to do. When I seen her light up and figure out what she actually wanted to do, yeah. And the other girls, they realized that as well. And they started to say, okay, maybe I need to dig further into what I think I want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was powerful.
It's like self-discovery, right?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is.
Because like while they are obviously learning this new skill of being able to sew, at the same time, because of everything else going on in terms of the mentorship, in terms of the entrepreneurship aspect, in terms of seeing a successful Black woman run this enterprise, they're like, oh, well, it might not necessarily be sewing that I love. It could be, but there's these other aspects around it that I love and I'm capable of.
Yes, and the girls also, because we worked in prior to COVID, we were working at my home, and they also got to see me be a single mom, which is very important for them because they were making decisions where they could have possibly become a single mom, and it was very important to me that they see, like, I know how it looks on the internet, but this is the reality of it. It's just me and these children. And I have to do a lot. Like at one point I was working 3 jobs just to make sure those kids had, they were safe and they had a stable roof over their head. And I'm like, no one, trust me, no one wants to work 3 jobs. But as a
Mm,
parent, sometimes you have to do that
of
unless you
course.
set goals for yourself early in life and you find a way to stick to those goals and you surround yourself with other girls that have goals. They don't have to be similar to yours, but as long as they have a life plan like you have, you can go really far and you won't have to work as hard. It's called, this is where you work smarter.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they have you now to be able to look as like as someone that they could see themselves in, right? Which is so significant.
Yes.
Tell
And I,
t-
yes.
tell me what it means in this day and age to be a Black female entrepreneur.
That's a really great question. Um, to me personally, I think that it means that I'm taking it one step further in honor of all of my ancestors that treaded this path before me. The stories of Annie Malone and Madam C.J. Walker, they
Yeah.
wholeheartedly inspire me. Those women and so many others like them found success in a day and age when it was nearly impossible to be a Black female entrepreneur. I feel like they designed a blueprint for all women, showing us that regardless of the limitations that other people place on us, what we are and what we do is ultimately up to us. I want all women to know this, whether it's with entrepreneurship, politics, or rocket science. We can play a role that matters and create a path for other females following in our footsteps.
And that is so powerful, LaPortia. That is so powerful that you say. No, really, it's like, whew, maybe we should do these every day. No, it's good. It's like, no, because ultimately it is our decision, right? No one ever gets to where they are with just sitting on the couch and just thinking about it. You actually have to put action and work into it, right?
Right. And you actually have to believe in yourself. You have to have your own vision of yourself and your future, regardless of what other people thought that I should, be a lawyer and I should, be married and just be a housewife. But I have a vision for myself and I stick to that vision. And I think other women, and I'm very happy and very peaceful because I am doing something for me, but it benefits so many more people.
And that's the beauty of what your social enterprise does at the end of the day. You know that. It's like, that's why it's so brilliant. No, really, I'm like fangirly with you. I'm like, oh my God, all the things that she does. It's pretty awesome. And I'm not just saying this to butter you up, because if anybody knows me, I don't butter. That's not my thing at all. But it's like, like the work that you do is pretty incredible. Tell me about a moment in your personal lived experience which has left an imprint on you.
Hmm. Well, I would say it was definitely 2 moments that have really shaped me into this social entrepreneur and this woman with this big vision. And the first one would be growing up in a household with a grandmother who cared for foster kids. Although I didn't grow up in the most lavish conditions, I still come from a really great family, and they made sure I was sheltered from the harsh realities of life in Gary, Indiana. I grew up in Gary. It's a really rough area still to this day, but I really didn't feel the impact of it because I had this big family that they did whatever they could to protect me. So I don't have like really any type of trauma that I have to work through, and I had to really learn to appreciate that. That experience helped me to understand how important it was for all kids to have safe, nurturing environments filled with responsible adults that they could trust to help them make better decisions in life.
Mm,
The second experience actually didn't happen until I was about 29 years old.
mm,
It was then that I became involved in my first real mentorship. I immediately began to think about how that relationship could have helped me set and achieve a different set of goals in my life had it been something that had happened when I was a teenager growing up in a poverty-stricken community. So
mm.
those 2 things, it really helped me to understand what these girls could benefit from.
So tell me about something that you know about business right now that you wish you knew before when you had just started.
I would say the power of a team.
Hmm.
Yeah, the power of a team. And it probably started, and I probably knew it back then, but I really couldn't wrap my mind around it. But I come from a big family, which is like having a big team. But I didn't understand how detrimental a team would be when it came to business. Of course, I had to learn that the hard way. While it's still something that I struggle with, I do work with great contractors that could be counted as a team. Like technically, they could be counted as my team. They definitely do make a big difference in the level of stress I have to put up with as a solo entrepreneur. The journey of entrepreneurship is already very lonely. And in order to not stress yourself and hinder yourself, you need to surround yourself with super supportive people
Yeah.
that will be very honest with you as well.
What would you have done differently if you knew all this stuff from the beginning?
Um, Aside from assembling a team, I don't think I would have done anything differently. While entrepreneurship can be lonely, the journey, it has been amazing. Um, I discovered so many new things about myself, characteristics, my strengths, my passions. Like you discover all of that, and while it's not comfortable to do that, it really shows you a new side of yourself that you can be very proud of. And you have all of these scars, but then during that journey you learn how to heal yourself. So I wouldn't have done anything differently aside from having a team around me that could help me repair and to pick myself back up when I have fallen down or when things didn't go according to plan. But
Mhm.
other than that, I can't think of a thing that I would have done differently.
That's amazing. That in itself is incredible. At the core of your social enterprise, you're a grassroots activated change maker. Okay. What do you want people listening to know about how to support you on your journey?
Okay, well, I want people to really understand what happens when you buy a satin line hat from H&H. You're not
Okay.
simply buying a product from another business. You're helping provide job security for a young girl in an underserved area. You're proving to her that you believe in the product that she is creating and the work that she's doing. And you are showing these young girls that you are invested in their futures and in their fight against poverty. When you decide to go on our website and donate to our community sewing classes as well, you are helping to provide an experience to a young girl that would not normally have access to these type of opportunities. You're showing her that the world is aware of her existence, her circumstances, and you have made a responsible decision to buy something or to do something to help empower her. So it's more than just this little product. Although it's great for your hair, but it also it it does wonders for the community.
Finish this sentence, LaPortia. In 5 years,
5 years. In 5 years, I really plan and I hope that I'll be operating a fully functioning community center in Gary, Indiana, providing these opportunities to more girls, boys, and parents wanting to learn more about trade skills and ways that they can improve their living conditions. We'll also delve deep into mental health and wellness because so many people in low income areas are faced with so much trauma that they never learn how to process or how to recycle that trauma into power and purpose. And I
wow.
think community centers, it could be a great way to get the community involved, but also to educate and pour into the kids all day long. In underserved communities, they only go to school about 8 hours a day typically, and then
Mhm.
afterwards they go back home to these communities where they don't have anybody else pouring into them or showing them different things. But if they had a community center in their neighborhood, I feel like it would benefit everyone, not just the kids, but also the parents and also, the city itself.
It's amazing. I want to come and like celebrate on your day, your launch day. Hopefully
Oh,
when
wow.
put it, like, speak it into existence, right? Because I'm a
Yes.
firm believer of that. But I look forward to coming in and watching you cut the ribbon at your community center. That's like,
Your lips to God's ears. I love it. I love
that's
it.
it. That's it. You have to keep talking about it. You have to keep talking about it as though it's already happened, you
Hmm.
know? And that way you're really when you put emotion into what you're speaking, the
Yes.
chances of it going through and happening is higher. That's what I'm like learning about it
Okay.
too.
I will keep that in mind. I'll
Keep that
keep,
in mind.
keep
And
that in
I'm gonna come for your day of your launch day where you're cutting the ribbon.
mind. Oh, okay. I'm excited.
Yeah. If you had the power to be able to do any one redo, what would it be and why?
That's an easy one. I would, if I had the power to redo anything, I would actually have launched H&H when I was 22 instead of 32. I had to learn the hard way why it's so important to appreciate and properly utilize your 20-year-old energy and resilience. And I get the job done, but I'm extremely tired at the end of the day. Versus, I think about when I was 20 years old, I could have done this all day, every day, and probably not slept for two or 3 days and been perfectly fine. Now it just doesn't work like that.
No, we actually need to sleep a little bit.
Yes, yes, that's
um,
the only thing I can think of, really.
what's next for you, and who do you want to collaborate with or work with?
Hmm. Okay, so COVID really it really put us in a position where we were forced to pivot. Unfortunately, prior to that, we were in the process of working with a local high school in our area that was going to allow us to bring our program onto the school, onto the campus, so that the girls would have an after-school job right on campus. We haven't been able to do that or reignite that. But what we're planning to do for the rest of 2020 is we just secured a partnership with the homeless shelter, a women's homeless shelter. So we are planning to just take that opportunity and run with it, and making sure these women not only get this new skill, but following our sewing classes, they'll be enrolled into an entrepreneurship course. So
Yeah.
then they would be able to say, okay, I have this new skill. I can either build a business off of this new skill or something else. So we want to empower them with a new skill or a new hobby, and then show them how that can be transformed into a profitable either business or a side hustle. So that's something that we're working on. And then collaborations are actually my favorite thing to do. I love working with other people. I love learning from other people. So some of the few people that I have in mind on my short list to work with is actually Michael Rubin and Meek Mill. They're the CEOs or the owners of Lids. So Lids
Yeah.
is
I
right.
I know
Most
that.
people, yes, and I would love to work with them, not just because of the work that they do with Liz, and I feel like our sideline baseball caps would complement their line of heads, but also the work that they do with the prison reform. We work with a lot of girls that come from single parent households because their fathers are in prison. So if we
Mm.
could be able to work together to resolve that issue, I would just be forever grateful. Also, Sarah Blakely. Sarah Blakely is the founder and CEO of Spanx. That was one of the first stories that I heard about that I could just relate to the whole entire story. And I would love to work closely with her and just learn from all of her experiences, the past experience when she first got started and everything that she's doing now. And then, of course, Michelle Obama. I love Michelle Obama. And I
Of
think
course.
that she would just help us take H&H to the absolute next level. So those are some people that I'm really excited to work with. Like you said, we're going to speak that into existence.
Let's speak it into existence, and let's start tagging them in all the social media posts. Let's start with
Yes,
that.
yes, absolutely.
Listen, LaPortia, the outline that you just described for me was so incredible and so selfless. At the end of this, I want to know, how are you taking care of yourself? you know, because you're a mother, you're an entrepreneur, and you're doing this solo. What are you doing to self-care? Because you clearly are, you're a giver. At the end of
Yeah,
the day, you're a giver. You're constantly giving. And what are you doing to take care of yourself?
you know, it I'm a giver, but I love it. I really love, like, I've never been able to say I love my job, and I've had many jobs in the past. I can actually say I wake up every day and I absolutely love my job, even the hard parts. What I do, and because of that, like, actually working every day is like self-care. Working with the girls, watching them come to life, like, watching my children find their passions and just be proud of me, like that all, I feel like that all contributes to my self-care. I usually don't have to do too much more than that, than take a hot bath. I probably take a hot bath every night, but while I'm in there, I'm working on my business.
Yeah, it never stops, right?
It never stops, and I love that it doesn't, because it feels like I'm always growing and evolving. um yeah, I, other than hot baths and hot tea, that's about, and I love to travel. I would say adventures. I love to learn new things, so that's a part of my self-care. I go on little adventures either in Indianapolis or in cities nearby. Yeah, adventures is probably part of my self-care. Doing things that I probably was a little too scared to do um, in previous years, but now I'm a lot more open-minded. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I would never have associated the adjective scared with you.
Wow.
No, really. You're
I'm a
like empowering
very,
your whole state. My gosh, like I would never have said scared, LaPortia. No way.
well, I am proud to hear that, because I've always been a very timid, shy person. So I did see, I learned something new about myself. Scary is not one thing that can be used to describe me, I guess,
No,
anymore.
not at all. Not with the incredible work that you're, you know, leading.
Mm,
Wow.
thank
Okay,
you.
let's do a really quick rapid fire list of questions. It sounds like you already might have already answered my first question. Coffee or tea?
T. T.
Favorite artist?
Ooh, favorite artist. I would say, of course, Beyonce. I'm a huge Beyonce fan.
If we can like actually go on a proper vacation once like COVID like, you know, reduces, where would you want to go?
Ghana. Ghana.
Oh,
I would definitely go to Ghana. I just found out that my great grandfather was from Ghana, and I
wow.
really want to go back. Yes.
Amazing. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh. That's a really great question. Read minds. I would like to read minds.
We have to have I have a whole like, different like list of questions about that, but that'll be like later. Travel to the future or the past?
Past.
If you could have a direct answer about any unknown in your life, what would it be?
A direct answer about any unknown in my life. Hmm. I would probably say marriage.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what about it? Would you get married? Is that what you're saying?
Um, what would I need to make sure is in check? Because I feel like it's a lot of things that I have to work on, but what specifically, I guess.
Very good. And finish the sentence. I will always.
I will always make sure I'm doing everything that I can and everything in my power to bring peace to somebody. I think peace is very, very important. So I'm always gonna try to bring you some type of peace.
I love it. I love it. And that's it, LaPortia. No more, no more questions. This has been incredible, really. And I have to say, speaking with you makes me feel empowered to continue with like the work I'm doing, and doesn't come anywhere close to the impact that you're having. And I want to salute you for the selfless way you're making an impact. It's one of those stories that I personally will always go and make sure everyone knows about you.
Well, thank you. And I just want to say, like, what you do is extremely important because you're giving me a platform. You're connecting me to people I would have probably that would have never known my story. So what you do is extremely important. And you put together some really great questions that, you know, you really have to sit down and think about, and it helped to add to my plan of what my future is going to look like with H&H. It really did.
And I can't wait to hear more about your journey, and I can't wait to see those pictures of you cutting the ribbon, and I am so very excited for you because of the level of how impactful everything you're doing and will be doing even more of in the future is. It's like, of course, all of this is going to come into fruition because she's making such an incredible impact, you know? So I want to wish you the very best of luck. I am one of your number one supporters, you know, like all love for LaPorsche because just the stuff that she's doing. Wow. And I hope to continue to have this sort of conversation with you, maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years, so we see where we are, right?
Yes, absolutely. I definitely look forward to it. Most definitely.
Okay, have a wonderful day.
You too, do the same. Thank you.
Thank you.